Programming the Motorola GP340Ex for 70 centimeters. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now in an earlier video I showed that I had recently acquired this Motorola GP340Ex. Now you can see there's something connected to it here. That's the programming cable that I ordered off Amazon, which I posted in the posts about, well, today I think I might have done it, when day of filming this, and I've also posted on X, as it's called these days. I mean, I'm tempted to call it Twitter still, but I rather call it X these days, because that is its name now. So this is just a very basic USB programming cable, plugs into any computer. Now for me to use that, I have to use a virtual machine. And I do have one running at this moment in time, and I have done some tests off camera, and I can confirm that it is reading and writing to the radio. So I'm going to go through all of that right now. Right, okay, so what I've got here is a virtual machine running Windows 95. Excuse the size of the window here, that's the best I'm going to do. So I need to click in there. So what we need to do, I've got two versions of the programming software. It turns out that one, the D one, doesn't work, but the R one does perfectly fine. So I'll double click on R031116EN. And that will open the software, and then I'll need to click read device, but I need to turn the radio on first before I do that. Radio is now on. So it's now reading the radio. It doesn't flash any lights on the radio when it's doing that. It just sits there and just reading radio. And it'll come up with this. I could have actually installed that on a newer version of Windows, as it turns out, because that copyright was 2012. So it says here, device at COM1 port. It's reading the USB port as an actual COM port in Windows 95. So we've got things like the radio information, like what frequencies it can do. It tells when it was last programmed. That was done by me. The software version within the radio. The frequency range of the radio power in watts. This is one. Option board data, which is not loaded, because we don't have an option board, so we don't need to worry ourselves about that. So we can change settings on a per radio setting. So I'm going to change that emergency button, because I don't need it, to work as, what can we use that one for that isn't emergency? I'll just leave that for the time being. So I'll put monitor onto the top button. We'll turn off this lone worker button because we don't need that. So I'll just no function assigned to those for the time being. I'll assign something to those later. That looks like everything. Not sure if there's a thing there to change that. So close that. Alerts. I'm not going to change those because I don't think I need to change those. Miscellaneous. That just says there's no option boards. That comes up with the radio ID. We don't need anything in here. Battery alerts might be useful. So RX low battery, TX low battery LED. That's going to be of some use to me. And the battery starts getting a bit low. So we'll leave those set. Vox. That should be switched off. Microphone. That's like microphone gain. And I'll keep that as it is for the time being. There's time. It's like TX timeout timers and things. I'm not going to change any of that. What we are going to do, I'll check this emergency thing set. Yeah, it just says things like revert channel and stuff. So I'll leave that as it is for the time being. GPIO we're not interested in. Contact list. That's not available on here. So, but what we're interested in is changing per channel, which changes the frequencies. Now there's 5 on here. There was 4 when I got the radio, but now there's 5. So what I want to do is I want to change these frequencies to the 70 centimeter simplex. I've already set up channel 5 to PMR446 channel 1 just for some tests. That's going to be overwritten. So that's what we'll do. Now I'm going to need the list of the 70 centimeter channels. And to do that, I can rely on chirp, or I can just grab another radio for reference. And I'll do that. Okay, so I've come back with the Quansheng UVK5 because with the firmware that's on that, it tells me the channel name and the channel frequencies, which is good. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into per channel 1. Now I'm going to blur out the frequency that's in there because obviously you guys don't want to be seeing that because that's somebody else's licensed frequency from the previous use of this radio. So we've got transmit frequency, receive frequency, reference automatic. I'm going to keep that as automatic. And we've got display, which this radio doesn't have. PL, DPL. We're going to turn that off because we don't need that. And miscellaneous. Nothing in here we need to select here. So what we need to do, this is for 4. Oh, hang on. We're going to clear that. So that's now clear. 4. Hang on. See if I can get my keypad working. It doesn't work in this. So 433 decimal 40000. Yeah. So 433 400 for transmit and receive. Okay, so that's now set. So display, don't change there. PL, DPL, disabled on transmit and receive because we don't need that. So that's that done. So we go to the next one. Go to record number 2. So we're going to go into the frequencies, which again you guys aren't going to see till I've changed it. So for the next one, 433425, 433 425. There we go. 433 425. And just fill in the zeros. Again, so reference frequency on both of those are automatic. I'm not going to change them. Channel spacing, leave set as is. Power level low. This radio only does a watt. So we'll go to the next one. We'll go to the next one once we've disabled the CTCSS for transmit and receive, like so. So next one. So we go to record number 3. Press OK. And again, obviously you guys aren't going to see the frequency until I've changed it to the next frequency, which I'll use from the Quansheng. 43345 433 45000. Automatic, and again 433 4500. Automatic. PL, DPL, we'll turn that off. We'll turn that off. So that's now done. So if I go to the next entry, which I can do here, that's the last entry. So we'll go to the entry before that, which you guys aren't going to see. So it's So next one is 433 475 433 475. And then we'll change it in here. Like that. Reference frequencies stay as automatic. So if we go to the PL, we'll disable that again because we don't need it. And then we'll go to, just check the previous record to make sure I've changed that appropriately. It looks like I have. And we're on to the final record, which is the last one I added, which is PMR446 channel 1. So I know it'll transmit there. Shouldn't really. So this will be the calling channel 433 500. Oh, try and get the frequency right. Make sure there's the right amount of zeros in those boxes. So that's all good there. PL, DPL needs to be disabled. Disabled. So that's okay. So let's add a new record you might not be able to see those buttons at the bottom very well, so I'll do that. So add a new record by pressing the green plus. There's 16 channels on this radio, we might as well use as many as we can here. So this is a new record, 6 of 6. So it'll start at 403, which is the lowest frequency the radio can do. We're going to change that to 433 525. And we're going to change that to 433 525. There we go. Again, automatic. Don't put anything in there. They stay off. That doesn't need changing. So let's add another one. 4335500. So 433 55000. So it's 433 550. 433 550. And there we go. And then 433 575 is the next one we're going to add. 433 575. There we go. So you've got to set the receive and transmit frequencies independently from each other, which is quite useful because it means you can set repeater offsets by setting them up here. So that's all sorted out there. We don't want any of the other settings. And then that's it. We're done. That's all the simplex channels now wrote to the radio. Well, not wrote to the radio just yet, but ready to be written to the radio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go into per personality 1. And what we're going to do here is we're going to change the squelch to carrier squelch. And everything else should be fine. So we can check in here. That needs to be kept as it is. There's nothing we need to turn on in here. That's got pre-emphasis and de-emphasis on voice and signaling, which I'm not going to change anything there. Going to keep that as it is for the moment. Those stay disabled. And we'll turn those off because I don't think we need those. So that's fine. Let's change the personality that we needed to change there. Let's close that. The only way I can close it is by making it bigger and pressing the close button here. Okay, so hopefully with a bit of luck that'll write to the radio. So write device. Decoder 1, 2 and 3 is not referenced to any personality. So it's saying there's some errors, so I can't do anything at the moment. So I'm guessing me turning these off has had some effect somewhere. So let's have a look at what those errors were, so I can find out what they were. So decoder 1, 2 and 3 is not referenced to any personality. That's 3 warnings. Emergency squelch, PL squelch is invalid. The emergency revert channel has no PL-DPL decoder. So that needs to have a look at the emergency channel settings on there, which I believe is in the per radio settings. So I'll set that to carrier squelch so we don't have that. Make sure that everything is set up as it ought to be. I think that should fix that problem there. Let's see what happens now. So we've got these 3 warnings of decoder 1, 2 and 3 not referenced to any personality. That should still write to the radio. So I need to find these decoders. I'm not sure what they are. That's not available current configuration. So I'll be in the personality, I think, that one. So, I wonder if it was when I took the ticks out of these boxes here. So I've now put those back in. There we go. It was to do with those. So we'll leave them as they are for the time being, because I'm not going to mess about with those too much. Are you sure you wish to write to the radio? This time we do. So verifying the device can accept the current code plug. Writing device, creating image. And we've got a peep. So now we can test that out and see if it works. So let's set this to 433-400, which is channel 1 on this radio. And I can key up with a programming lead plugged in, but I'm going to disconnect it. Just so I've got a bit more room to move. So I'll bring in the Quan Sheng, which you can see here. And when we key up, okay, what channel are we on? We're on 5, that's why. Try that again. Whoa! Turn the volume down a bit. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform test. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing. There we go. This radio is now successfully converted for 70 SEMS. So now I can use it. Just got to go grab the speaker microphone. Okay, so I've got the speaker microphone. It has the same connector as the programming cable, except this has got a screw on it, so I'd probably have to use a screwdriver to tighten that up. If I can find one behind me, because I do have stuff behind me. It doesn't look as though I do have a screwdriver there. Let's just use something inappropriate for that. Yeah, this is quite inappropriate, but it will work. Could use a coin, because a coin would fit as well. Right. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform testing. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. So that speaker mic's a bit dusty because these must have been stored in quite a dusty environment. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. Yeah, bit of feedback going on there. Now, does it work the other way? Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. That's not actually that loud, to be honest. Try that. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. Mike 0, Whiskey November uniform. Well, we know it works. So that's now programmed up for some simplex channels, and I'm pretty much happy with that. Yeah, it'll work with repeaters as well, which is something else I'm going to probably do. There are other options on here that obviously you'd need to think about changing if you need to change these, like this select 5 signal calling, which I don't necessarily need that. And these user-defined ones as well, which I don't need either. I'm not going to remove any of these settings. I'm not going to bother with them too much. So that's that done. So it'll ask if I want to save the changes. I don't. I can just read them back from the radio later. And that's that done. Given the copyright on that software, I think it would actually run on a newer version of Windows, but I installed the older version on Windows 95 and it works fine. And it hasn't actually caused any problems for the radio. So now it's working on the 70 centimeters band rather than the frequencies that were in it. So I'm going to have to release my mouse pointer now. So I'm actually quite happy that's worked. So just a quick basic programming up of this radio, just to get it converted to something I can actually use. So now I can actually use the thing. And it'll be getting tested in a later video. So I do have a couple of other things I need to do today. So 7.3 for now. I'll catch you in the next one.